साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ 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 शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघते गिरिं यत्कृपातमं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। Oh Swami, please think through me, feel through me, speak through me, act through me, behave through me, conduct through me. Sai Ram. Sai Ram, brothers and sisters, thanks for joining in on this wonderful Sunday morning, uh, which brings us together in this collective journey of, redemption, so that we share our energy levels and move on in this spiritual sojourn. Why we do the Sai Gayatri and also 9 times, it's again something to do with the well-being of the planet as the turmoil still engulfs in different parts of the world. So our prayers reach out to Bhagavan, and Bhagavan has said this is one prayer which you do for collective well-being, answered in priority. And why 9 times is because the Navagraha, the 9 planets. So we do it 9 times, addressing to assuage the 9 planets, to pray to the 9 planets. And that's why Swami used to create the rings of Navaratna, which is again addressing to this. And also it is Trikal, past, present, future. So Trikal, and then Trikaran Shuddhi, thought, word and deed. And the 3 gunas, Sattva, Raja and Tamoguna. So when you sum up them up, it is 9. So the whole prayers go symbolically for 9. And that's what Swami's, we used to say that Swami's number, when we talk about our, spiritual pursuit, we choose number 9, as a part of our choice. Okay, so let's join into bi-weekly Sunday Sai vaccine that we have been taking. Booster shots have come in. And while those can come and go, this one is something which remains eternally, because it's not about a spare wheel you have in your car, which you take out in emergency. It's about the main steering wheel, which has to be held on all the time. And that's what the Satsang brings us to. It helps us to steer our lives into the direction that Swami has guided. What we try to do is we tune into Bhagavan, because it's only in the depth of silence that his word is heard. Now we may be rattling now as I do, but important part of this is we all collect some part of his story and go back and then sit down to tune in, because in the depth of silence we'll get the right frequency. He's nothing but the frequency within. And when we tune, we stay immune. We also come in on Sundays to have a communication with Bhagavan, because he's all the time dialing up. And sadly, we are not picking up his missed calls. And that is where we are in these moments to reconnect to the divine. All right. But how do we do that? Do we jump around temples, mosques, gurudwaras, churches? While that is important, but that is very basic. Swami says, how long do you want to be in the nursery, in the primary? You have to graduate. Brothers and sisters, those places lead us from one level to the next level. And then it has to be one name, one form, right? Just as you start digging a well, You can't get water if you keep jumping around and drilling a few feet. It has to be dug deep into one place. When the fountain of his name, when it is taken, the fountain of his love comes out and embraces us. It's also like you see pictorially in this graph, when a person is digging and digging, just when he's very close to getting the diamond, you know, in the mine, he loses hope. Again, spirituality is about steadfastness, as Rishi Patanjali said. He said, steadfastness is one of the most important attribute of a sadhaka. We have to be steadfast, and then only we can go deeper. It's about rubbing in one place. And you see, during the Durga Puja, we used to go every year in the 70s and 80s. Whenever the Purohits used to start the yajna, they will rub it wood to wood so that the fire is generated, because that's the Vedic tradition, how the fire is generated. It's only when you keep rubbing at one place, when you take one name, when you put your loyalty in one, just as you want loyalty from your partners, your life partners, you want fidelity, complete fidelity. The Lord wants a complete fidelity. There cannot be a divided attention. And that is important. That's where Bhagwan says, one name, one form. Even Bruce Lee, you see, the famous karate guy, he said, I don't fear the man who practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who practiced one kick 10,000 times. And that's what brings us to the fact that it has to be ek naam, ek mantra, ek japa, ek nishtha, ek astha, ek Ishwar, ek Satya Sai. Brothers and sisters, let us take these sessions or these moments when we are a Sai center or when we are communicating with divine through radio Sai and whatever means, that we choose him and only him. And that will give him the reason to choose us and only us. All right. So this is an important part. We start this journey of today. We are in the topic of, are we spiritually progressing, brothers and sisters? Are we spiritually progressing? Now, how do we know we are spiritually progressing, whether we are progressing or not? And then end of the time, when we come to the end of the session, we'll perhaps try to see how do we measure that. All right. From Koham, who am I, to Soham, I am he. This is an important journey. 2 weeks back, we started doing it. It will take a bit of time because we have to measure, right? It's births and births of accumulation, brothers and sisters, that we are trying to overturn. Why? Because we got a lovely master, a beautiful democratic God who came and showed us the easiest way in Kali Yuga, not the 8 portions of yogas that you put your legs around and sit down in Ashtanga yoga. He gave a very simple mantra: love all, serve all, help ever, hurt never. Now, how beautiful the Lord has been to make it simplify, right? And to tell us more whether we have spiritually progressed is also Brother Aamir, who's joining from Mumbai. In a short while, he'll be sharing. Now, Brother Aamir has been in Mumbai for a long time. I sent a short intro on you. While he has been into the movies, into documentaries, into writing book now, from Shah Rukh to Sai Rukh. Rukh is the direction, He has been very blessed. And this journey is not about how long we have been in the journey, but how much distance we have traveled in that particular time. You might have taken a train from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, brothers and sisters, right? But if we have meandered and got down in some station, then we have lost the way. We have to come back again. It's important to catch that train because the destination is important, right? So Brother Aamir is going to share on his life, how Swami came into his life through some of the angels. Yes, we have our angels everywhere. And Munira auntie is one of the aunties in Mumbai Samiti. She has been instrumental in inspiring so many of them. So many of them. She's, I think, 84 plus. And you can look at her energy level. She still vibrates with Swami's name and transmits his messages doing and long. We'll be fortunate to have her someday in our session. So we'll have Brother Aamir, as you can see here in this photograph, and he's out there in the session very shortly joining us. Now, this journey we started putting up all the milestones that we have in the spiritual journey that we are heading for. It's very important. In the corporate organizations, we have KPIs. Brother, here we must have these KPIs to understand and self-audit to see where are we in this journey. All right? Have we traveled the distance? Have we meandered the way? Have the milestones changed? Showing different letter words. It's not showing God nearness. It's not showing every work is God's work. It's not showing that we have got drowned somewhere. So it's important for a for us to do a self-audit and keep understanding and examining ourselves whether we are moving in the right direction to the same destination. All right. Bhagavan says, I've not come to disturb or destroy any faith, but to confirm everyone in his faith. This is the workshop, the spiritual workshop that we all have been going through these sessions, or to Swami's Puttaparthi, when he gave all the Upadesh, which is still there, shining as bright stars, leading us to the destination that we must adopt. What was his end of the day, his education all about? What did he try to inculcate so that when we come as a Muslim, we go back as a better Muslim? When we come as a Christian, we go back as a better Christian. We come as a Hindu, we go back as a better Hindu. When we come as a Buddhist, we go back as a better Buddhist. In short, we try to become a better version of ourselves in this journey, brother. And that indicates the spiritual progress we are trying to make. Have we started getting less angry? Have we started getting less attached? Have we started loving more? Have we started forgiving more? These are some of the important parameters which tells us whether we are trying to become a better human beings end of the day. It's all about the two swings, whether we are the participant or we are the witness. If we are taking the ownership of everything happening, then God stands as a witness, and that is Dehabhiman. That means we are human beings trying to have a spiritual experience, whereas the destination is we are spiritual beings who have come down for a human experience. All right, and that is Atmabhiman. So the whole journey we started on this is all about swindling between these two pedestals, these two corners, and then assessing ourselves, bringing ourselves back into the medium, right, from Koham to Soham. Now, when somebody asks Ramakrishna Paramahansa, how do we know we are spiritually progressing? Again, this is in the book Gospel of Ramakrishna. He said, Vishwa Viraga Ishwar Anuraga. A very simple statement he made, but look at the power of this statement, which is depicted in this slide. Vishwa Viraga. Now, most of the time when we are in the seesaw, the world, the relation, the bandhu, the family, they are weighing heavier than the God, right? God stays right there up, waiting for us to reach out. All right, brothers and sisters. In one statement, he said, Vishwa Virag. Now, only when we have Vishwa Virag, that is this slide, when you have more attachment towards God, the world attachment starts fading out. Satsangatve nisangatvam, nisangatve nirmohatvam. Now, that nirmohatvam is nothing but disillusionment with the world. That is, it's not that you start hating the world, you start getting more interest into the Bhagavan, into the God, into the Guru, into the Master, into his teachings, right? It's not about hating, it's about loving him so much more that everything fades out, right? A very simple thing is when you have a solution with some salt or something you want to make it sweet, you mix so much of sugar that the salt disappears. When we mix so much of sai in our lives, everything starts fading out. And that is the important part what Ramakrishna Paramahansa in these two simple sentences, Vishwa Virag, Ishwar Anurag. Virag means detachment. Vishwa means world. Ishwar means God, and Anurag is attachment to God. So we don't have to fight the world. We have to just start loving God more. Once you start doing this more, the other one automatically peels out. It's like a cow dung, when you paste the cow dung on the wall, the moment it dries up, it drops off. You don't have to peel it off. The moment the detachment comes, the desires go off, the cow dung falls off. It's an important part of us to understand if you're spiritually progressing. That means, have we started loving God more and more? Have we started? What do you mean by loving God? Loving God is not catching the photo and embracing brothers and sisters. Loving God is, have we started implementing his teachings in our lives? Picking up few things. That is what we mean by loving God. Otherwise, it will be only liking God and not loving God. Like we have so many characters around us. We like them, but we don't love. So it's important to distinguish this, that we are loving God. All right. Possibly we'll try to see. And what is Vishwa Virag and Ishwar Anurag? You see, when we are facing the sun, the shadow is behind us, but the shadow is following you, right? So when you are facing God, when you are reaching out to your gurus, you're following his teachings, the world automatically follows, brothers and sisters. The things that will make a difference in your life, what is needed in your life, not what is agreed, but what is the need in your life, he will make it happen. All right. I'm reminded of Akbar and Birbal story when they both went out into the jungle one fine day. And what happened was they were getting hungry because they separated out from the main convoy. So eventually he sat under the Birbal said, I can't walk. I'm hungry, but I can't walk anymore. And, Maharaj Akbar, he said, I mean, this is something you have to walk if you want to get something, if you're hungry. So he sat down there and Maharaja went on looking because he was also hungry. He saw a hut with a lamp and he went there. And then, the people, the tribals there, they recognized him. They gave him the respect. They brought the food for him. They served him. And then he said while he was getting up, thank you so much, brothers. But my colleague is there out there, Birbal. Can you give something for him? They packed him a food and he came back. And Birbal, before Akbar went, Birbal said, no, you relax. Don't worry about it. God will give us. Why you think he will not? Akbar said, you and God and all this, you have to do your job. So now when he comes back, and Birbal had that faith, he wanted to teach also a lesson. You know how Birbal was, very witty. So when Akbar came back, he said, now what happened? You're still hungry. Where is your food? Here you go, take this. And Birbal smiled. He said, well, my food is here. When the whole world is begging in front of the Maharaja is begging in front of the world. This is what God does. God serves through the Maharaja to the devotee who is waiting and who is hungry and who is praying. So the important thing here is when you face the Lord, the world follows you. When you face the sun, the shadow is behind you. Brothers and sisters, it's an important part to understand. Maya will follow you. But when you walk away from the God, it's very unfortunate, but it does happen due to our own sanchit, karma, or, the way we respond to a situation which comes. When we walk away from the sunlight, brother, when we don't face it, the shadow, the world follows, leads us. So we get trapped with the God is behind us. And that's an important part for us to understand where we are facing in our moments of life. If you're facing God following his teachings, Ishwara Nuraga, then Vishwa Viraga. That means the shadow is behind us. This was an important part, what Ramakrishna Paramhans told us to measure spiritual progress in life. All right. So I think I will try to restrict myself here because we have Brother Aamir here. Let me cut this off for now. Okay, so brothers and sisters, again, it's really a Swami's blessing and privilege. I don't know how he manages this. I mean, we all know he's omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscience. He left his physical body in 2011. And there are hundreds and thousands of devotees and Sai soldiers working around. Perhaps some of them have not visited Puttaparthi. Perhaps they have not seen Swami. But look at the eternal love that touches the lives of thousands. And how each one in the unique way is experiencing this love in their lives. And we are blessed to have Brother Aamir from Mumbai, who is a writer, a film writer, he's an author. I know sometimes I join the Mumbai study circle and I'm blessed to interact with some of them. And I won't take much of it because I won't do justice to what he's doing. But I have been, the recipient of some of the miracles, some of the things how Swami has touched his life. So I would love to hear from Brother Aamir in the benefit of all of us who have gathered here. Brother Aamir, all yours. Welcome, and it's lovely to have you.
Thank you so much, Bindu Bhaiya. I think it's a treat to hear you every time in sessions. The way you speak and the clarity in your thoughts and stuff. We wish to have this someday.
Sai.
Sairam, everyone. I'll just begin by saying one thing that if coincidences happen once or twice or thrice, they are coincidences. But if they happen 10 and 20 and 30 and 50 times, they start turning into miracles. So that's the first thing I want to begin with. And you can ignore coincidences. You can't ignore miracles. So
Beautiful.
This was a thought that just came right now to my mind. It wasn't pre-planned, to be very honest. And I have this one very dear friend called Divyansh Pandit. His mother, his dad, they all have been, his nana, they all have been, Sai devotees for years. I think they have been, Sai has connected to them ever since their cell existed. And some beautiful souls. So I was introduced to who Sai is by Divyansh a couple of years ago. Kept hearing about him, and I was just a mere audience who used to hear about him, and that's it. I personally would like to address and label myself as an absolutely secular person. Uh, I may have been born into a particular religion, but I have zero pride about it because I have not chosen it. It is, it is not something which I earned. What I will earn is maybe the karma in this life journey. So I personally was in search of that one guiding force that can, help me to understand how to conduct myself in life, how to behave, how to think, how to sail through problems, how to in fact even react when life is absolutely jubilant, very happy, joyous. And then I keep hearing about Sai and from Divyansh and his family, his dad, Deepak uncle, someone who has been through absolute turmoil in the last 2.5 years. And I saw him smiling through his toughest time. If I may put it this way, that uh, it's out there in the media and everywhere. People who know him know that how he was troubled by by a lot of them out there in the system, because he was a government employee. He was the ex assistant commissioner of Mumbai Customs, and when a conspiracy broke out against him, a man who stood righteous, who has been a Sai devotee, who only had compassion for people around him, when he was troubled by the system, by the giants out there in the system, I saw him smiling through it. And I remember I asked him once that I said, Uncle, how do you manage to just smile and conduct your life the way it is? In one word, if I may put it, the biggest vigilance agency of the nation has been notoriously after him. So I asked him, I said, how do you manage to smile through? And we were sitting in his house, where just right opposite him there was a life size photo frame of Sai. And he pointed to Sai and he said that he has given me this trouble. I'm sure he knows why he has given it, and he will take it away when he feels right. And the moment he said that, I just looked at him in disbelief, that it is this. And in that moment, I didn't understand. But with time, with many more conversations with Divyansh, I understood this is called eternal surrender. So, and that is what made him like a dry leaf. He is flowing with the current of water, but water cannot drown it. So that is exactly how he became.
Beautiful.
And when I saw that, it just stayed in my subconscious. Moving forward into time, there were some very practical things that I heard from Divyansh. Two things that hit me very hard and very beautifully about Swami is the fact that when I got to know that the hospital in Puttaparthi has world class amenities, world class doctors coming and serving over there, and that hospital has no billing counter. You know, how do I put it? I mean, Swami would have the best answer to this, but unfortunately, in a time where we are living, when you enter a hospital with the most dire misery in your life or your family's life, the first thing you have been told to do is take care of the billing. In this world, when you have a hospital built by someone where there is no billing counter, I think anybody with a sane mind and some consciousness, it will hit them hard. The second thing that hit me beautifully was the fact that, with all due respect to everyone around, all the people, all the, I would not say godmen rather, because I think that will be demeaning somebody's faith somewhere. But I would say that, all those who want to guide people and stuff, all the spiritual leaders, somewhere or the other, there is a very strong intent of, pulling people towards a particular faith. And that is what made me question a lot of things, and I never got inclined at a particular towards something. I heard from Divyansh that Swami always said, like Bindu Bhai also said, that I'm not here to change anyone's faith. I'm here to make a Muslim a better Muslim, a Hindu a better Hindu, and so on and so forth. And I think that was so beautiful, because Swami is like, you are on this earth in a particular faith for a particular reason, and I do not want to change that. What I want to change is your karma, how you lead your life, and you can do it through your own faith. And I think that's the best message that he's giving. I think it's even deeper than what he says. What I took from it was that we can actually look at everyone so equally, so beautifully, that each faith out there has the potential to give you the right direction in life, only if you have the right perspective to your own faith. And that is something I think which Swami has tried to give out. Munira aunty told me so beautifully that I, being a Muslim, when I went to speak to Swami, and when I spoke about my issues and stuff, the first thing he asked her was, do you pray namaz? And she said, no, not very regularly. And Swami says, start praying namaz. Why? I mean, why would Swami say that? Because he knows what the power of it is. I don't pray. I now I started feeling guilty because someone like Swami said that. So now I feel guilty that why don't I? You know, uh, moving forward, I kept hearing these stories and stuff, and I'm going a little in detail. I did not detail this out last time because I had a paucity of time. But today, I think Bindu has given me enough time to speak on this. There was one session that we were working at my place. So Divyansh is a film director, and I have written a film that he'll be directing very soon. By the will of Swami. So I remember we were having a session at my place where we were working all night, and suddenly, out of the blue, in the morning, like for 2.5 hours non-stop, Divyansh kept talking about Swami, his journey with him. His mother Arushi auntie, uh, who left for her heavenly abode in 2020, and her journey with Swami. It was unbelievable. And somewhere I feel the most beautiful things come in the most unbelievable way. So I kept hearing from him that entire morning, and somewhere in my head, I went into a trance. When I went downstairs in my building to, drop him near his car, out of the blue, he just removed his wallet. He pulled out a small photograph of Swami. Uh, Now, this story will connect ahead, so that's why I'm talking about this. He pulled out a small photograph of Swami in which he's holding the shivling in his hand. Uh, and he said, I don't know why, but I just feel like giving this to you. So I just took it with all due respect. And he says, I just feel that after this, life will change for you. And he gave it to me. I went back home. I put it to my forehead. I kissed it and I kept it in my wallet. Last year, in 2021, February, March, April, starting Shivratri, uh, I suffered a full blown episode of clinical depression and anxiety. A time where I would just lie in bed and look at the ceiling and cry for no reason. My mother, who does not live with me, I got her married in 2019. My father passed away when I was 9.5 years old. So she now lives with her husband, and she came to stay with me for those 3 months, not knowing initially that she will have to stay for 3 months because they thought कि 15-20 दिन में it will become fine. My depression did not go get fine at all, and I remember I was writing the film that time, and everything came to a standstill. Divyansh rendered his selfless support to me at that point of time. अभी वो यहाँ होता तो वो बोलता नहीं selfless नहीं selfish था मुझे film complete करनी थी अच्छी तरह से. But these are all facades that he likes to create. The reality is that his parents have brought him up in such a way. Uh, he follows Ganguly a lot, so he believes in the true concept of leadership. He said, I'm going to wait till you become fine, and you are going to come back, bounce back, and write the script with us. And I said, okay. And something came to his mind, and he sent me a packet of Swami's Vibhuti. He says, I'm sending this to you. Start having it with water. I will be very honest, those days I knew of Swami. I liked the concept of, Swami. I was not yet completely inclined towards him. And Swami knows exactly कि हम इंसान जात कैसे है. He knows इनको इनको जादू नहीं दिखाओगे ये लोग नहीं आएंगे. So
English, brother,
he
English.
knows.
Yeah, English
Yeah.
has a lot of
So
them don't
yeah,
come.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So Swami knows very well that how we human beings are. You do not show them magic, they will not come to me. And I remember that he sent me the vibhuti. I started having it every day, and I didn't have faith within, but I just knew that someone who I have faith in, for example, Divyansh, he said do it. I said let's do it, and I started praying to Swami every day. I would drink the vibhuti water, and I was expecting a miracle that next morning I'll wake up all fine with no depression at all. And believe me when I say this, it is the worst mental feeling on earth to go through that zone. There is nothing. I mean, to put it in simple words, if you have a fracture, you know where the problem is, you know where to treat, and you know where it is paining. Imagine if there's a fracture in the body and you don't know where the fracture is and you don't know where the pain is. That is exactly how depression is. You do not know what to do. Nothing helps you. Even your ceiling lights bother you. In that frame of mind, I would only pray to Swami that if you're there, and there was an if at that point of time, the key word over here. I said, if you're there, please come forward and help me because I cannot handle this. And I did go up to an extent where I would get suicidal thoughts, but because my mom was with me, there is a very strong healing self within me. My grandmother, my nani, who literally played the role of my father after my father passed away. And I think I had a very divine relationship with my grandmother, and my nani is the beginning, is the stepping stone to how Swami came into my life and how I saw his presence. So that's why my nani's character is very important here. My nani is not my real nani. She's my mother's masi. She could not. She and her husband, they could not conceive a child. So when I was born, they adopted me, and selflessly, she lived for me for 23 years in Ahmedabad in Gujarat, only to see me settle one day. And she devoted her life to me. I think how Swami says selfless devotion and service. I think that's what my grandmother did for me. And last year, when I was going through my depression, I remember my suddenly on the 1st of May, which is my biological dad's birthday, I get a call from Ahmedabad, and my neighbors tell me that your nani is not well at all. And she would live alone in Ahmedabad in her house. And they said, please come down before it's too late. And I never heard this. She had fallen ill earlier, but she was an iron lady. She would fight it out. I went to Ahmedabad immediately. Now the gears had shifted because I, from depression, taking care of myself, I had to now take care of someone else who was extremely, in one line, if I can put it, my world, my mother is my northern hemisphere, my nani is my southern hemisphere, and that is how my world would complete. That is how I can put it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Beautiful.
I just went to Ahmedabad with my mom, and I enter my house. I see my neighbors over there, everyone running around trying to take care of her nani, could not get up. And then someone comes and tells me that your nani has not eaten food for the last God knows how many days, more than a couple of weeks. She's just been eating one morsel and that's it. One morsel, that's it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. And I went to my grandmother. I said, can you please eat something? One spoon, just apple juice, something. And she told me that anything that she would eat, sweet, even sweet, it was burning her in the mouth. And at that point of time, we did not know that she had COVID because her test had come negative. So she says, my mouth burns. I have anything at all. No sweet, no juice, nothing. I had no other option. I went to my room and I carried my vibhuti with me over there to Ahmedabad. So I went to my room in my house. I took a pinch of vibhuti. I went to my nani and I said, just open your mouth. I'm putting this. She says, don't put anything. My mouth burns. I said, it will not burn. And when I took the pinch of vibhuti, I just told Swami, I said, wherever you are, please manifest yourself, your energies in this pinch of vibhuti, and please help my Nani because I can't see her like this. I went to her, I put a pinch of vibhuti in her mouth. I applied the remaining on her throat and the remaining on her stomach because she also it was passing motions and stuff profusely. She just cutely, without her teeth in her mouth, she just tasted it and she looked at me and she's like, "What is this?" I said, "You remember I told you about Satya Sai Baba? This is his vibhuti." My Nani, an 84-year-old woman, was also very beautifully secular from within. She followed Islam in the right way, but she in fact embraced every other religion beautifully. So she just smiled at me. And I remember that I went out in the living room and I just sat over there waiting. Now I've left it to Swami. Believe me or not, within 2 minutes, my neighbor comes out running from the room and tells me that your Nani is calling. She wants to eat food with you. I was a woman who could not eat, who could not even gulp a spoon of apple juice, calls me and she ate 2 to 3 morsels of pulao with me, and I sat with her and I ate it. And I just thanked Swami. That was the first time in my life Swami came and touched me beautifully. And my love for my Nani, Swami knew how to manifest it through me. I just smiled. I looked at my mom and I said, I told you, this is beautiful. The next thing that happened was my Nani had to be hospitalized that night itself. And for the next 13 days, uh, that night itself was, I think, the heaviest on me after the last time when I saw my dad pass away. After that, this was the heaviest night for me. I was last year. I was 32, and I had spent 32 years with my granny. I had millions of memories with her. That entire night, I struggled. I've been through the journey of struggling for an ambulance all night in Ahmedabad. No hospital was ready to take her. I had to travel with her from place to place, jumping hospitals. Eventually, Deepak uncle and Divyansh, I was in touch with them, and Deepak uncle came to my rescue. And I think within a couple of hours from Bombay, he arranged a hospital for me in Ahmedabad, and that was exactly the hospital which had all the facilities that my Nani needed. I admitted her there, went back home, and now it was a waiting game for us. On the 13th day, I get a call from the hospital, and the doctor says that your Nanima is no more. And somewhere we were prepared, but no matter how prepared you are, when it actually happens, it hits you. I I just broke down, and I was supposed to immediately hold myself together because I was the one who had to go for the burial. My granny had taken this promise from me that when I depart, I don't know about the world. I don't know who will be there, but I want you to get down into the grave to bury me. So I had to do that. But COVID did not allow me to get down into the grave, but I was there. Now, this is the second thing that happened with me. I was on call with Divyansh, and Divyansh was like, bro, just carry Vibhuti with you and just keep it near Nanima and let it go into the grave with her. I did that. I took it into into a carry, small pouch. I wrapped it up. I could not get inside the grave. So Divyansh told me that just do one thing. Don't get into any arguments with anyone right now over there. Do your duty and symbolically just cut a piece of your t-shirt or something and put it with your Nani, symbolically that you have gotten down into the grave with her. I immediately did that. I went to the graveyard. Okay, so now this might just sound a little orthodox and conservative, but that's how it is. So we are Bori Muslims by community, and the mullah sabs, the Maulanas in our community. When you bury someone in the grave, you cannot put anything which is not pertaining to the Islamic culture. So we put whatever we had to place next to Nani as per the Islamic culture, and I just told him, I said I want to keep my t-shirt, a piece of my t-shirt with her. So that was a piece of t-shirt. He said, okay, it's a sentiment. You can go and keep it. But in my head, I was like, I hope he does not see the vibhuti because he'll question me and he might create a ruckus over here. Some of them don't really care what scenario it is and they do create a ruckus, and that fear was there in me. I went and kept it near my nani's arm. So when she was lying down, I kept it over here. I just stuck it in. They came, the Maulvi went close and he poured water on her. He prayed, he made her holy. I was praying in my mind that I hope that t-shirt doesn't open up and he should not see it. Unfortunately, it did open up a little, the vibhuti packet. I could see it from 10 steps afar. The Maulana was standing next to my nani, could not see it, and he said, Chalo, let's take her into the grave. Just before they could zip the body up, because it was COVID, I noticed that my nani's face, which was of course all dead, expressionless, when I received her at the hospital, because in the hospital they make you check the body in COVID times, that are you taking the right body, because we're all in the same packets. So I saw her face and it was dead, no expression. But right there, before they could take her to the grave, there was a mild, noticeable smirk, a smile on her face. And when I saw that, I asked my neighbor who was with me, supporting me in that time, I said, Bhai, did you see a smile on her face? And he said, yes. I was still in disbelief. I thought he's just saying it to, make me feel happy about it. I did not say anything. We buried her. Everything was done. We did the prayers. Everything was over. In the end, I asked all those people standing over there. I said, I want to ask you all one question and please don't lie to me because I will not feel bad. Did you all observe a smile on my nani's face, or was it just my delusion that I think she was smiling? At least 4 to 5 of them vehemently said that, of course we saw. I mean, her face was very Nurani, that's what they said. It was glowing. And I went back home in disbelief. I said, how could this happen? I spoke to my family doctor because I was still trying to dig into it. No, there has to be some logic to this miracle. I spoke to my doctor. I said, tell me one thing, Dr. Saab. Can a dead body smile? Can something happen, anatomically? And the doctor said, no, that's not possible. He laughed. He says, why would you ask this? I said, because I saw my nani with a mild smirk on her face. And the doctor said, no. I mean, maybe it was just there on her face. The doctor was in maybes, and that was the moment when I understood that I just knew what was there. For all you know, Swami maybe came to receive her at that point of time, because I prayed to Swami. I said, she has come into your world now, on your side of the world. Please receive her, take care of her. Any of her unfulfilled wishes, please take care of it. And I would like to tell everyone over here, my nani's last wish was to see me get married. My depression was almost gone by then. I forgot what that feeling was. I don't know how Swami placed my depression, my nani's departure all together. And the juxtaposition of these events was in such a way that I was just flowing through it and taking my learnings, which I will only realize later. On the 15th day of my nani's departure, my nani's name was Batul, Batol. So my nani passed away, and on the 15th day, my mom gets a call from someone saying that aapke bete ke liye there is one rishta, and a girl's profile came to my mom, and the name of that girl was Batul again. So my mom and I, and we were all just, very surprised. We were like, what is happening? And my nani always said that I wish Aamir settles down uh, in a family which is connected to our neighbors in Ahmedabad, because our neighbors knew me since I was 1 year old, and they are beautiful people. So my nani always said, I wish it is a girl from their family. Coincidentally, this girl from MP, from Madhya Pradesh, Indore, turns out to be a relative of that family. We were all in disbelief. My mom, we didn't know what's happening. We said, let's see. 1st of June is the day when I speak to that girl for the first time. And this is where Swami comes and hits me hard again. I'm on a call with this girl who is a Bori Muslim coming from an absolutely religious family, and it will not be wrong to say orthodox religious family. Father was liberal, mother was kind of, coming from that generation. There are people who would not even say Om in the house. And that's fine. Majority of them are like that. So that's okay. And that girl, in a conversation, when I was telling her about what happened, 15, 20 days ago with my nani, and, I was telling her that, have you heard about Satya Sai Baba? And she says, are you talking about the one at Puttaparthi? I said, yeah. I said, how do you know about him? And this girl tells me on the call that I've studied in Satya Sai school. And I just put my hand on my head. I told her, can I call you in 2 minutes? She said, why? What happened? I said, no, I'll just call you in 2 minutes. I'm getting another call. I lied to her. I cut the call. I was sitting in my car and talking to her. I just looked at the sky. I told Swami, I said, Swami, don't do this to me. I can't handle your miracles so hard. Wait, go slow with me. You are you're not showing me your presence. You're right there standing in front of me. I said, how? What is this? I still have goosebumps as I talk right now, and I just took a deep breath. I continued talking to that girl, and she's like, yeah, I know all the Sai bhajans, and we used to sing in our school and all. And that school turned out to be, a school which was owned by one of our common friends who is a Sai devotee, Mr. Tribhuvan Sachdeva's
Rishabh.
son, Rishabh Sachdeva. So Rishabh is Divyansh's friend, and that's how we all know him. We spoke to him, understood the journey, went forward. Eventually, I did get engaged to that girl as well, and last year, and that entire process of I getting engaged and meeting a family and very beautiful people and all the love and compassion that I got from them. Believe me, I was trying to recall what depression felt like. I could not recall my emotions. I could not recall what is depression. I just could not recall. I was like, what was that emotion I was going through for 3 months? Where is it? Uh, Unfortunately, what happened is that this girl, because of the religious orthodox, mindset, uh, I mean, Swami bless her with all the wisdom in future. She was very much, against the fact that I was inclined towards Swami, and now I was inclined. Now the ifs and buts had kind of started going away from my life, and she was not happy with the fact that I was following Swami and stuff. And I just told her and her mother one thing, that if Swami's presence in my life and his teachings are making me a better human being, how can that be wrong under the sun? And they didn't have an answer to it. So there were a lot of quarrels between us because of that, and a lot of bitterness and stuff that started coming in. I prayed to Swami in that moment, everyone. I want to tell you all that I did pray to Swami, and I said that Swami, I'm going to marry this girl. We are engaged, and I am fighting with her. I am fighting to stand strong, in my faith towards you. Not because I have any ego and I don't want to let go things for her, but because I know what I'm doing is right, and I know that your presence and your teachings are going to make me a better human being. Just support me in this fight. Please support me in this journey. It's a struggle. Please support me. And that's all I kept telling Swami. January 2022, this year, things were blown out of proportion a little. And I prayed to Swami constantly to give me clarity. What should I do? Should I go ahead or not? Should I go ahead or not? Since I don't have a father and my nanny was also no more, I have only my mom with me now. I didn't want to disturb my mom in her own married life and stuff. So without telling her anything, I took a decision one fine morning, and I spoke to the girl's father, and I told him, I said, I want to call this engagement off because I can't proceed further. And for multiple other reasons. And when I called it off, when I settled, I realized one thing, that I saw when Divyansh lost his mother in 2020, when Deepak uncle went through his miseries for the last 2.5 years, how the faith and the eternal surrender to Swami kept them holding on strong. Swami worked as the anchor to a ship in a storm. So
Yeah.
if I was the ship and if my troubles were the storm, I, made Swami my anchor. And I just told myself one thing, that if this has happened and if Swami has shown his presence to me, he knows what he's doing. And I just let myself be. Whatever happens, happens for the betterment. I literally believed and practiced that in that moment. I moved on in life. A month later, I was ready. I was mentally ready to start seeing other girls for marriage. My mom said, just come out of it. I said, I realized with time that I realized that I was never in love with her, because half the time I was only justifying my faith, and many other things. So when did I get the time to even love someone? Now comes this 1.5, 2 months later, roughly around March, comes this one girl who I speak to. No names disclosed over here. Uh, and I talked to her on call. Random girl who I meet through the Shadi.com app and stuff. And in a conversation, when I mentioned Swami, she tells me that, oh, you're talking about Swami Satya Sai Baba Puttaparthi. I said, yeah, yeah. She says, oh, my father is a diehard devotee. And I was like, wherever I'm going, you know, you know, when there is like a curfew in the city, whichever lane you go through, you will find police over there. So there was a curfew in my life, and wherever I was going, I was finding Swami over there. And I was like, okay. I said, how? I have lived in a place called New Bombay Vashi in Mumbai for 9 years. I know every nook and corner of that place. And this girl tells me that, yeah, there is a Dharma Kshetra over here where my father goes and stuff. I said, in Vashi, there's a Dharma Kshetra? She's like, yeah, right behind the Jain temple. And Jain temple was the place where I and my friends would hang out, right behind it. And I never knew there was a Dharma Kshetra there. Now I told Swami, I said, Swami, now that you're there, if this girl is right for me, please show it to me. If wrong, please just show it to me, because I am now moving on with utmost clarity. I asked the girl on day one, I said, in general, about the vices, do you drink, do you smoke? Because I don't drink, I don't smoke. Not that I have a problem with my partner doing it, but anything illegal that they do, any drugs or anything of that sort, I should know about it, and that will be a deal breaker for me. The girl said, no, I don't do anything at all. A couple of days later, in a conversation, and I developed a habit of chanting Om Sai Ram by now. So while I'm driving, while I'm just sitting somewhere, not doing anything, I would just involuntarily start chanting Om Sai Ram. And I was I was just chanting Om Sai Ram before calling her that day. And suddenly she calls me and I talk to her, and she tells me in a conversation, it slips out of her mouth that she would smoke. She was into smoking drugs and stuff. And I just caught that. And I was like, 1 second, did you just say this? That means you smoke? And she had to justify it and stuff. But it just came in front of me. And I called it off at that point of time. Very sweet girl, So again, I would genuinely say Swami bless her with the right wisdom in life. I ended things over there, and I told Swami, I said, thank you so much for showing clarity to me, for showing me what, she was. Moving on, uh, I was in a conversation with Divyansh the other day, and around 2 months ago, 2.5, 3 months ago. And I remember Divyansh told me that, you should go back to your ex-girlfriend. You dated her for 7 years. She knows you. You've grown up together. I think she's the best girl for you and stuff. And I take Divyansh's words seriously, because he comes with a lot of wisdom and stuff as well. So I did give it a thought, and I said it. I think it fits my scheme of things as well. I get in touch with this girl who was my ex-girlfriend. We grew up together. I know her entire family in and out. I've not met them, but I know them in and out. I know about their religious beliefs and everything, because religious conflict was the reason why we did not stay together. So I know about her family's religious background. And after 7 years of dating her and being in a relationship and commitment, when I get in touch with her again, this time when I mentioned Swami, she tells me, you have started following Satya Sai Baba. I said, yeah, I'm glad you know about Satya Sai Baba. She's like, yeah, of course, everyone knows about him. I said, but how do you know? And she says that my mommy is a diehard Satya Sai devotee. And I was like, what? I said, 7 years we've spoken. You have mentioned your mommy 10,010 times. You never told me this. You tell me that how religious they are, you all are Brahmins and this and that and blah, blah, blah. He says, yeah, I don't know why, but it came to my mind right now. I just maybe never, thought of telling you. 7 years, she didn't tell this to me. Suddenly she tells me your mommy is a devotee. I again thanked Swami. I said, again, you have created that blockade. Again, there is this police blockade and you are standing right in front of me. I said, thank you for showing your presence. Now I moved on with this girl, started talking to her. There was a lot of discomfort within because I don't know why, but I just felt that things are not the way they were earlier. I was in an emotional turmoil. There's this one beautiful session that happened in Sai Circle where I think Vidubhya spoke about the concept of the pendulum that Swami explained. That, stay as neutral as you can. If you go on extreme sadness or extreme happiness, you will go to the other extreme very soon. And I've tried to practice that. I mean, easier said than done, but I'm trying to do that. So I was not believing my emotions of conflict too strongly, but I was, seeking insights into it. And I started praying to Swami. In the gym while working out in my breaks, also I would keep chanting Om Sai Ram in my mind. And I was telling Swami, just show me clarity, show me clarity, show me clarity. People believe it or not. I mean, of course, you all will believe what I'm saying. But my mom calls me up around 1 week into my conversations with my ex-girlfriend, and she calls me up and tells me that I did not tell you, but I sent yours and that girl's kundli to an astrologer and someone who we really have faith in. And she says that I've got a clear cut no from her, that this marriage is not going to lead into fruition, and there will be a lot of problems and conflicts and stuff. And I just told her, I said, 1 second, why did you not tell me that you sent this kundli and stuff earlier? My mom said I'd sent it on day one. The astrologer, who generally replies in 2 to 3 days maximum, took around 1 week to 10 days to reply to my mom this time. And she says that I'm so sorry, I missed your message. I just saw it a couple of days ago, so I quickly checked the kundli. Swami gave me that, 1 week, 10 days, that your mind was stuck with this girl. Go ahead, meet her. I give you enough time to look into your emotions, get your clarity, and move on in life with utmost, clearance. Those 10 days gave me enough clarity to understand that now my heart or any part of me is not stuck with that girl anymore. I have detached from her. I have set her free, and she is out in her own world, living happily somewhere now. Swami came, gave me this clarity through the astrologer, and I
Mm-hmm.
got my answer.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the third strong presence of Swami. By now, it is a no-brainer to tell you all that I started having a lot of faith in Swami. And I'll be very honest with all of you all. By now, Swami also gave me the wisdom to understand that Swami is not that tool in my life to solve my problems alone. Or a tool in my life, okay, Swami will now, I'll pray to him, Swami, give me a nice luxurious car, and Swami will give it to me. That is not how I look at Swami now. I think listening to his discourses and hearing about him from Divyansh and family so much, I've started to understand that if Swami is giving me happiness and if I'm thankful to him for that, if Swami gives me troubles, I should be thankful to him for that as well. Thanking him for one thing and criticizing the other, these two things, that dichotomy, I got clear of that in my head. Now, I got a I spoke to a Pandit around 15 days ago, and this is the last chunk of my speech today, or whatever I'm sharing my story today. I spoke to a Panditji around a week, around 15 days ago, and he told me that as per your stars, I was generally talking to him about things, my future, X Y Z, and he was a new Pandit that I got in touch with. He said, as per your stars, you're supposed to wear a pukhraj in your index finger. I said, yeah, you're right. I used to wear one earlier, but I removed it last year because my mother-in-law didn't want me to wear it. He said, no, that's a must for you. I said, okay, I'll do that. I remember last year when I put on the pukhraj, the Pandit last year told me that wear it on a Sunday morning. I said, okay. I asked this Pandit, I said, Panditji, I want to go to Dharmashetra and wear this ring. And I want to do it on a Thursday. I don't know if that is the right day for a pukhraj or no. He says, no, Thursday is the right day for pukhraj. So Monday, Sunday, and Thursday. These are the 3 right days. But I don't want to tell you to go on any of these 3 days. And people focus on this point. He said, I don't want you to go on random 3 days or choose one of the days as per your convenience. I will give you a day which is best suited as per your stars. I said, okay, Panditji, do it. And Om Sai Ram was playing in my head at that time while I was on call with him. He took around 10-15 seconds. He's checked my Kundli and he comes back and tells me, as per your Kundli, Thursday is the day for you to wear the Pukraj. And I just smiled and I was like, I said, are you sure? He says, yeah. And I said, Thursday mere Swami ka din hai. I clearly remember that was the first time from my mouth that line came out, mere Swami ka din. I just said it. And I realized, I said, mere Swami, and I felt that thing. I just felt it in my heart. And I said, okay, so now I'll be doing that on a Thursday once I get the ring. And this was the period when I was also planning to buy a house, to invest in a new property in Mumbai. And I started talking to a couple of builders and stuff. And finally, I chose one property. And when I was about to give them the token amount, I was sitting in their office and I was ready with my check. And something passed my mind and I told them, I said, can we, delay this process to this coming Thursday? They said, yeah, we can. So we will send someone to collect it from your house. I said, no, not my house. I said, I will give you the address. The place is in Andheri East. It's a temple. It's a Dharma Kshetra of Sri Satya Sai Baba. I said, that is the place. I have my belief and my faith in him. I want to give the first check over there in front of Swami because Swami is the one who's gifting this house to me and all these things, these worldly luxuries. So they said, okay. Now came a Thursday. And by the way, in this entire process of buying the house also, I went through a solid dip where I was almost about to cancel the plan. My mom was very disheartened and certain things were not working out right for me. And that, it was like, in Hindi, there's a saying, haath ko aaya, muh na laga. Like the morsel was right in your hand and you could not eat it. So I felt that thing. In a normal scenario, last year, Divyansh knows, people who know me very well know, I would have been bogged down. I would have been upset. I would have lived in that turmoil. Shit, why is it not happening? Believe me when I say this was the first time when such a big decision of mine was about to collapse and not get into fruition. I just told myself that night, I said, if Swami wants it to happen, it'll happen. And if it's not happening, he knows best. I told my mom the same thing on the call. My mom said, no, we have to work this out. I said, Mom, we are trying our best. Believe me, if it doesn't happen, understand Swami doesn't want it to happen. And there is something good in it. And if it happens, it is Swami's wish. Now let's sleep and see what happens next morning. Next morning, things worked out for me miraculously in my favor. It went from North Pole to South Pole suddenly, and everything started working again. And I told my mom, I said, I told you. And Swami is putting me through all this so that I value what I am buying. One more learning which I realized is that when Swami puts you to troubles, it is not just to neutralize your karmas, it is also to teach you something out of it. So that when you move forward in life, you move forward as a better human. Every step you take forward, it's like our feet have got, dust on it and we walk on a piece of cloth. Every step we take, the dust keeps going out little by little. So that is how I want to put it across. That Swami has laid that cloth for me. He says, now when you walk, learn every step, move on with a cleaner foot every step. I called the developer's salesperson to Dharma Kshetra. That was the day. Remember, I told you about that Swami's photo which Divyansh gave me with the shivling. I lost that photo because I lost my wallet in Indore when I'd gone to my ex-in-law's place. And since then, I wanted it. Deepak uncle, before going to the US recently, left that photograph with his daughter-in-law. And I forgot about it that the photo is there at their place. I went to Dharma Kshetra. I saw the library open. I immediately went inside. I saw the uncle. I said, Uncle, I want Swami's photo. He says, there are so many. Choose anyone. I said, no, I want that small photo with the shivling. And he says, sorry, but I don't have that. Let me check. He checked here and there and stuff. He says, I don't think I have it. I said, it's okay. Maybe Swami doesn't want me to have that. Maybe Swami has something better in store for me. So let's see. I walked around the library. I saw one photograph of Swami's in which his hands are like this. And I said, Uncle, can I take this photo? He says, yeah, take it. I said, but I'll get it framed from outside. He says, yeah, you can do that. I took that photograph. I said, how much do I pay you for this? He says, 120 rupees. I gave him a note of 200. And that uncle tells me that, sorry, but I don't have change. I don't have 80 rupees change with me. So I said, Uncle, 10, 20, 30, anything. He said, he opened his drawer. He says, no, sorry, I don't have change. I said, no problem. Don't worry. I'll buy something more in that place. He says, why don't you buy the incense sticks or something of that sort? I said, no, that will not help me. I'll rather buy something to read where I learn something. He says, okay. I randomly walked across the bookshelf and I ended up picking up this book. So, Bindu bhai, is this readable?
Yeah, it is Divine Discourses by Bhagavan Sri Sat Sai Baba.
So I just picked up this book. I said discourse hai, so of course it must be simple to understand. I went to that uncle. I said, Uncle, I am in the junior KG of Swami school right now. I've just started. Is this book easy for me to understand? He says, yeah, this is very simple. Read this. It will teach you a lot. I picked this up. I said, Uncle, how much? He says 50 rupees. I said, oh, so you don't have change. I'll have to buy something of 30 rupees more. He opened his drawer. 30 rupees exact 120 note, 110 note comes out from there. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I have 30 rupees with me. Take this and go. I said, you just said you don't have change. He says, sorry, I opened the drawer. I could not see it. Now I can see it. Take it. I saw this book. I told her uncle. I said, Uncle, you know what? I think Swami wants to tell me something through this book of his. I mean, this book has, I think this one book, if someone understands properly, they can live a lot of their life happily. So that is what that uncle told me. And I was like, this, I did not buy this book. Swami gave this book to me. So I received it as this gift. I happily went. I was like that one child that day who's just bought a new toy and he's waiting to take it home. So I had that photo with me and I said, Swami, I want to take you home today. I want to put your frame on my wall today. Now, how it happens, let's see. There was somebody waiting for me at home. Of course, I went to the temple area. I prostrated in front of Swami. I went in sajda. I prayed to him. I thanked him for everything that he's doing for me. I signed the check, gave it to the salesperson. That salesperson was not coming inside the temple. And I said, do you have a problem? He says, no, I don't have a problem, but you are praying. I don't want to disturb you. And he says, I have not taken a shower, so that's why I was not coming inside. I said, you know what? It's okay. Swami will understand. Faith is more important. I said, just come in. I said, because I'm not going to give this check outside. I want to do it in front of this avatar sitting here. He came inside, he sat with me. I asked him, I said, do you know him? He said, yeah, Sri Satya Sai Baba, of course. I said, sweet. And that fellow tells me that maybe it was destined. I live here only in Andheri East. I've never come to Dharmashetra. Because of you, I came here for the first time. I saw the temple. It was so beautiful. Maybe my darshan was destined for me to come here. I said, if you're here, he wanted you to come here. Now I leave it up to you. And that salesperson went away. Last part of my journey with Swami so far, it has just begun. I was coming back home. It was a Thursday, of course. And on my way, I did not know which shop to stop at for the photo frame because I've never got it done. So asking random people here and there, I reached a place in Lokhandwala market. Now, this is again where Swami showed his presence very beautifully and strongly to me. I went in that, I went over there, I stopped the car. The moment I stopped the car somewhere, I asked someone, I said, where's the Photoshop over here? He said, right over here inside, opposite. Before I could get out of my car, I could hear a very mild sound of, Sai Baba's bhajan playing somewhere. I got out of my car. I started looking around. And before I could look around, a man in orange clothes comes to me and opens his bag and says that, why don't you donate something? Today is Sai Baba's Bandara. I had that carry bag in my hand with Satya Sai Baba's photo. I said, do you know what I have in this bag with me? He says, what? I removed the photo and I showed it to him. And that guy's like, Are Baba. And he joined his hand. He's saying, Are, he's the very powerful avatar. Look at your faith in him. You have your faith in him. And opposite, he pointed out, look at us over there on that van. We are playing the bhajan, and that's a bandara going. I looked over there. That was Sai Baba's bandara. I gave him some donation. And that man tells me that we normally don't go from this road because this road is normally in a bottleneck. But today it was empty, so we decided to go from here. And I told Swami in my mind, I said, you have been showing your presence and I'm receiving it now, Swami. I'm receiving it. I go to the photo frame shop, I put the photo, and again, this time consciously it comes out of my mouth and I tell that person, I said, Ye mere Swami ki photo hai. I said, I want you to frame this for me. And that person takes it and he checks the measurements and he says, sorry, we don't have a frame which is of the same measurement. And I was disheartened. I said, do something. And he says, I am not the person who can fit photos in frame. The person who knows it is not here. So I can't do anything. Leave it here. In the next 3-4 days, I will get it done from the factory and we'll give it to you. In my mind, again, Om Sai Ram began. I chanted a couple of times and I told Swami, I said, Swami, I am stubborn today. I want to take you home today. Now it's up to you. In that moment, I got a call from my builder's office and they said that, sorry, Aamir sir, we need a photograph of yours, a passport size photo. And I was like, why are you telling me now at the 11th hour? Because I don't have any passport size photos. I said, chalo, no problem. I realized I'm standing in a photo studio. So I looked around. I said, okay, wait, I'll arrange for it. I told that guy, I said, chalo, in the meanwhile, let's do one thing. Just click a photograph of mine. I need some photos also here. I went in, that guy clicked a photograph. I was on call with my mom telling her about the Sai Baba Bhandara thing that just happened with me. I took some time. That guy clicked a photograph. I went outside. While they were printing the photo, one guy walks into the shop, washing his hands in the basin and wiping it and stuff. And that guy tells me, "Are this is the guy who does the framework. So wait, let me ask him." I said, "Oh great, he's here on time." So I said, "This is my Swami's photo. Can you frame this for me? It is smaller than the other frames that you have." He says, "Yeah, I can do it. I'll just put a white paper behind and we'll stick this on that." I said, "Perfect." He did that for me. The frame went in the carry bag, and I realized when I was walking outside, if I would have not got the call from the builder's office for that passport size photo, I would not have waited there because I would have immediately left if my work was not happening.
True.
That was the day, which was this last Thursday, 2 days ago. Uh, Swami entered my house in the form of a photograph, and now it's in my bedroom. So now it's become, in the last 2-3 days, it's become a practice. I'm making it a practice. I wake up in the morning. The first thing I do is look at Swami, say Om Sai Ram. I kiss his photograph with my hand, and then I begin my day. And that's about my journey so far, everyone.
Oh, Sairam, 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 brother Aamir.
Sai Ram.
Wow. Swami's explosive experiences, crept in with no time with you, and I think it is, when we say we seek Swami, we desire more than deserving. Somewhere your time has come, your beckoning has come, and your time of fruition has come. And when you said that you are in the KG, Swami, please help me, you are in KG of that sign. I think you are the PhD. And Bhagwan told to one of the devotees, PhD is pure hearted devotee. When your heart is
Wow.
pure, just to receive him, then everything else follows, brother. Few important learnings, we have gone into the time, but I'm sure everybody has glued, as emotionally connected to Swami as you have made us and helped us, and we thank you for that, brother, for sharing your heart out with us, because it's all the journey. We all look for each other's energies to travel. Now, important takeaway that for me personally is Satat Nama Smarana. You've started consciously, subconsciously, repeating his name, which is so
Yeah.
important. This will help us into the final journey when we are exiting the world, to have his name on the lips. That is one thing. Accepting all shades of life. There is another important thing. Pleasure or pain, joy or sorrow, profit or gain. Now he has given you that wisdom out of these experiences and churning. This is an important part which you have shared with us. Then your depression was changed into Sai impression, because during
Yes.
that time, That was the maximum imprint you got, and you never realized you had a depression when you came out of it. What is this? And mind you, brothers and sisters, one important thing I would share is Brother Aamir has not been to Puttaparthi, has not seen Swami, but he has seen Swami, I think, more than any one of us also, because he's feeling Swami's presence in everyday's life. And that's the beauty of this God, this democratic God who says, come and go back at a better version of yourself. We are so grateful that you shared your time. And whenever I could interact 2 days back with you and even earlier, that time I knew a little bit what I could. And the brother and sister, when he's talking about Divyansh, Divyansh is Sister Arushi's son. Sister Arushi has been a part of this satsang ever since we started. We all know how she immersed in Swami, her experiences with Bhagwan, and Brother Deepak Pandit is her husband, very ardent devotees, and her father, Justice Mishra, has been Swami's educational trust all the time. So they have been great spiritual stalwarts, if I may say so, who have inspired so many who came into the contact. And one of them is Brother Aamir through Divyansh. So from Divyansh's journey from Shahrukh to Sairukh, you know, it's so beautiful. From Amit of Amitabh, Amit to Sanyamit. Sanyamit is self-control. And from Rag to Anurag, and from Bar to Darbar, So
Wow.
it helps us, brothers and sisters, these kind of sessions, these are experiences where he's not talking about a concretizing of something or changing this. He's talking about day-to-day life, how Swami is making himself presence felt. And we all have that in our life. It's just that I'm sure we are all connected, but I'm getting more inspired from today when I hear him to understand his presence in day-to-day lives. So beautiful to have you. Thanks so much.
So, Bindu Bhaiya and everyone, I always kept hearing from Deepak uncle and Divyansh that in Puttaparthi, whenever Swami would walk by, people, whenever they would see him for the first time. In fact, Deepak uncle also said this, that initially he was not a believer. Initially he didn't have faith, and through his wife, through Arushi auntie, he started understanding Swami. And he says, I don't know why, but when I saw Swami for the first time, I felt an ocean of love coming towards me. And it was so overwhelming that he ended up crying. And he said that people would cry when they would see him. And that crying was out of that joy and that overwhelming of love. Right now, when Bindu Bhaiya was talking, I just felt that gush of love within me. And I did have tears in my eyes right now. And I could understand what people must have gone through when they would see Swami in front of them.
Wow.
I can't thank Swami enough for being there for me.
Beautiful. Very mahima.
Thank you, brother.
Very
beautiful sharing. Brother Bindu, you talked about steadfast faith just now, short while ago. Yeah. And here was an example, Brother Aamir, amazing, really, really great. Thank you. Thank you very much for the sharing. Sairam.
Brother Anand wants to say something.
Actually, Sairam, brother, Aamir, I want to congratulate Brother Bindu for inviting Aamir, because today's satsang was one of the most romantic satsangs. I fell in love with the satsang because you actually spoke from your heart, and normally we don't hear these kind of personal sharing. So I appreciate the courage, but more importantly, I appreciate you're very young, brother. And I appreciate the faith. Now that Bindu has told that you have not been to Puttaparthi, you've not been to Puttaparthi so far, is it?
No, I haven't. I want to. Very soon
you don't need to go to Puttaparthi because you have Puttaparthi in your heart.
House.
So you have actually blessings of Swami. You have Puttaparthi in heart. What we need are more, I would say, youngsters like you, where you don't have to be physically present in Puttaparthi to feel Swami. You have to be a messenger, a messiah, and an ambassador of Swami wherever you are, through your work, through your thoughts, through your words. So very inspirational, brother, for the age that you are. I think you also disclosed your age. You are 32, 33?
I'm 33, yeah. I'll be turning 33 this year.
At this age, you are blessed because you have the biggest champion of champions, the biggest Messiah, Swami, with you and around you. And when you spoke about your Nani and the vibhuti that you put, and the smile on her face, let me tell you, it was the most heartwarming and heart-touching incident that you have shared. Sairam, very, very nice.
Sairam.
Very proud of you.
Sairam.
Very proud of you, and I bless you wherever you are. In whichever field you're going, you're much young. So bless you to be successful in your life. Now, are you married or not married finally?
No, I'm still in the process. Now it's up to Swami. He's my biggest matchmaker.
Okay, so you see, we are also going to pray for you now, and hopefully we'll get a chance to attend your wedding.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Take care.
Beautiful. This is the bond, the Sai family. You know, it doesn't know boundaries, waters, oceans, cross the globe. You go anywhere, you have the same love. And from being transformed, brother, you have become a transformer. Just understand that.
Wow.
So you have a lot of onus by your sharing. Don't hesitate wherever you ask, because you will impact the generation that normally is getting affected with things around. And that's why, you know, when we talked 2 days back, it is important to touch upon these things in life that we all carry back. We all have youngsters in our houses. We all have, you know, certain things to tell, that this is how we can balance both sides of the world while staying anchored. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I want to say one last thing is that in your relationships, okay, in your relationships, whenever you find your next partner, speak less about Swami and let your work bring the partner closer to you and to Swami. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sairam.
That's a beautiful thing. Sairam, sir.
Sairam. Thanks.
Sairam.
Thank you. Wonderful. Brother Shastri, you have anything
to share, brother? Sairam, brother Bindun, brother Aamir. I think Swami, Sairam, just one last thing I just want to say. You know, Swami's mission has been to kindle the hearts. So his main mission is to purify our hearts. I think today you are sharing has many learnings for all of us here. Each one of us has something to carry, and he is there, will be there, and ever he is present. That is omnipresence. We end this satsang with one of the 108 names. Swami has those 108 names. So I am a student of Swami, studied 7 years right at his feet. And your sharing, I would say, is one of the best that I have heard, because it is purely coming from your heart without even seeing Swami once. And the amount of faith that you have built in is amazing, and you should carry through life. And I think Swami is making you purify each one of us to be his instrument. So I'm sure you are one of those chosen ones. I'm using that word, chosen ones. So keep it in your heart, and I'm sure you have a wonderful life ahead.
Yes.
108
names. We must invite Brother Aamir one more time for one more subject.
Yes, sir.
Sure, brother.
And definitely we should inspire more work to Aamir. Aamir, you need to now speak about some of the work you're doing and how you are influencing with Swami's blessings.
I will, Anand sir. In fact, even to Shastri sir, I would say that I have this one imaginary bucket with me, which gets filled up with Swami's presence. I come in a session and I pour the bucket out. Now, that bucket is empty enough for Swami to come again and fill it up. So when it fills up again, I'll again come and pour it out.
Next time, I'll try to invite even Divyansh, Divyansh and Amit together, because they both are, contemporaries to each other, and they have Divyansh has a lot of Swami's blessing because of Arushi's son. But yes, we have something look forward for the future. Yes, Brother Shastri.
Yeah, so 108 name that comes to my mind that can connect very well with Brother Aamir's sharing today is Om Sri Sai Bhakti Jnana Pradipaya Namaha. He is the one who kindles the wisdom and the devotion in the hearts of the devotees. So, I mean, he stands for it, with form, without form, or another new form coming, whatever forms that he's in, different forms that he comes in, because his power is amazing. And therefore, let's all pray to him. I think Brother Aamir, sure, with all our prayers, you will get your partner to take you in this journey further ahead. Thank you, Sairam.
Sure. Sairam, sir.
Sairam. Just to end, also that Brother Aamir, he has gone through a lot of churning. When he shares, you can see behind the love of Swami, there's a hidden layers of pain and anguish and depression and all that. But because the topmost layer, the icing is Swami, everything could go. So when the churning happens, all the bitterness, when the Samudra Manthan happened, when churning went on, a lot of poison and things came out. Similarly, his life, the churning means his spiritual progress has started. So that journey has given out all these things. And since he has tested positive in this sense to all this tests, I'm sure he will march ahead. And thanks, Brother Aamir. We will have you again, of course, with your new bucket,
Of course, sir.
Until then, let's...
Bindu Bhaiya, just one very important thing, for many years together, I kept questioning to myself that... So what happened is that, in 2012, I remember I had gone to Dubai for 1 month, for some purpose. And when I came back, I was influenced by the people I was staying there, or positively influenced, and I started praying namaz, very regularly.
Yeah.
So I would pray namaz, no matter where I was, I would pray namaz, When I did that for around 15, 20 days, 1 month, I saw that problems in my life became worse. My mother went through a lot of turmoil. I went through a lot of turmoil in that year, 2013, sorry. I had this question in my mind that when I started praying namaz, why did problems increase? So I went away from it. I said, now I will not pray. Now I don't want to pray. It took me many years. I lived with this question in my mind. I asked a lot of Maulvis and stuff. No one gave me the right answer and everything. Believe it or not, I got my right answer through Swami, because I questioned the same thing to Divyansh one day. And those are the initial 1 or 2 years of I becoming friends with him. And I said, yeah, bro, just tell me one thing. This is what happened. Do you have an answer to this? Divyansh is one guy who has an answer to everything in this world. So I said, give me an answer to this also. He says, the answer is right here. Swami has taught us this. I said, what? He says, because any spiritual practice, when you do it with all your faith, what Swami does, what God does, is that he expedites, accelerates your karma neutralizing process. Mm-hmm. So what is going to happen over the next, say, for example, 2 years with you will happen over the next 6 months. So you're compressing all those negativities of 2 years in 6 months. It will be worse, but once you cross that, it's light ahead. And I was like, why did I not get his answer earlier? But by then I had detached from the process too far to get back. But now, through Swami, I am ready that if Swami has come, I know troubles are going to come, but he will only pull me through it. I'm mentally prepared. That's Absolutely. The last thing I want to add.
Beautiful. All right. So let's, I think we are all greedy for all this more and more, but let's stop it for the sake of the time. Yeah. We'll stop with, we'll end up the session with Samasta Loka. Om Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti शांति। जय बोलिए भगवान श्री सत्य साईं बाबा जी की जय। Sai Ram, brothers and sisters, thanks for joining. Have a wonderful Sunday and the week ahead. We'll catch up again with more Sai love. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Thanks, Brother Aamir, once again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bindu Bhaiya. Thank you, everyone.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.